I think we're pretty much going to be seeing the end of the LGBT community. I think it's going to basically run its course, and there's multiple reasons why this would be the case. Like, it's just not something that's ever going to last to begin with. Now, you have immigration, right? And the fact is, the majority, like, it's purely a Western thing, LGBT. It's something that mainly only exists within Western countries and countries that Europeans have a certain amount of influence over. So, the more immigrants that are going to come into the country, you're going to have more and more Muslims come into the country, more and more people from Africa, from South America, which is very Catholic, very Christian, from countries like China, which believe that LGBT is a mental disorder. So we're going to see an increase of people who come from cultures where LGBT is not permitted. They either look at it as a sin or a mental disorder. And we're seeing Muslims rise up more and more against LGBT. They tried putting LGBT flags up around the Muslim community in England, and the Muslims had them take it down because they claimed that it was offensive to their religion. They also got LGBT to not be taught in one of the schools in England because they complained that it was against their religion also. We're also seeing a lot of new data come out because in the past we didn't really have data on LGBT or homosexuals or anything like that. We couldn't really interview them because they're all in the closet. But now so many of them have come out and they're open about their homosexuality. We can actually get data and record data from them. And it turns out that the majority of them, something like 60% that have been polled, have had been sexually assaulted as children. So this would suggest that maybe this isn't natural. And we see that the amount of LGBT kids that exist within liberal households is way more than what would be the case if it was natural. So clearly there's like a nurturing element going on here where kids are being exposed to sexual content at a very young age and that's influencing their sexuality, causing them to become more all these different pansexual and all these different sexualities they're inventing every day. And people are just going to wake up. The trans community is pretty much like the main wake up call for people. That and monkeypox. The fact that the gay community is not stopping having like orgies, even though there's a threat of monkeypox, but they choose not to, shows that these are like sex addicts. These are people with mental health issues, and it should be treated like it's a mental health issue. We're seeing children coming out with smallpox. We're seeing that uh, people from the homosexual community have committed higher rates of assault against children than people from the heterosexual community. So there's definitely something strange going on here, something not natural, and I think it isn't natural at all. Like we get naturally repulsed by the idea of homosexuals. We get repulsed by the idea of an adult with a child. We also get repulsed by the idea of two old people getting together, right? Two elderly people who are like 80 years old making out, a heterosexual elderly couple making out is gross, and we find it gross. Like, why is that? And why is it that a heterosexual couple that are young and attractive, it's totally fine for them, that we don't find it disgusting to see them make out, but if we find out that they're brother and sister, then suddenly it's gross. The one thing that all these have in common is none of these things actually produce offspring. So it could be that whatever we see whatever relationships that don't produce healthy offspring, we look at those relationships with repulsion because of the fact that that's bad for the tribe and it's bad for the survival of the tribe. But young, healthy people who are heterosexual, who are attractive, making out, we enjoy seeing that and encourage it because that is good for the tribe. It's passing on good genes and healthy children. And this whole transgender thing, I mean, I think we're pretty much seeing for certain that this transgender thing is uh, really run its course. I haven't watched this video yet, but I've been seeing stuff about this person who is clearly a freaking nut job. This person here.
Pads for the past 2 months, but I've actually never opened one up. So let's do it. Woohoo! I thought the letters stood for small, medium, and large based on the size of your Barbie pouch. But after a Google, I found out it's actually the level of your flow. So there's. Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty, this person, like, the more people are seeing transgenderism, the more they're realizing that transgender people are in fact just mentally ill. These are in fact crazy people. They act unhinged, and a lot of homosexuals act unhinged and crazy too. And the more we're exposed to it, the more it's brought into the light, the more we can see that. And the more non-whites and people who come from cultures that don't support LGBT, the more they come into the country and become a larger population, the less LGBT we're going to see. So, like, in my opinion, I think, like, all these different things, people, like kids getting monkeypox, um, data, new data about psychology, the psychology of LGBT, and how rates of them being abused as children and so on. Um, all these different things. The trans community, people seeing what's going on there. Drag kids shows. Drag is like strip club stuff. That's like having a stripper show for children. You know, we're going to have a stripper story hour. We're going to have some strippers come in and they're going to read stories for your kids because that's what the drag show is. It belongs in burlesque houses. It belongs in strip clubs. It belongs in bars and gay clubs. It doesn't belong in a library. It's like having a strip show for children. Yeah. Let's have strippers read kids Dr. Seuss. So anyways, I think we're going to be seeing the end of LGBT, and within like 10 years there's going to be a real undoing of a lot of these things. Like, I could see like gay marriage being undone in 10 years or something, because I think we're going to be moving towards a place where within the next like 10-year period from now to 10 years from now, it's going to become increasingly more acceptable to be critical of LGBT and to also talk more honestly about race even. I've noticed that like people who are considered more moderate when it comes to being conservative, or people who are like just traditional conservatives and so on, they seem to be talking about race more. So we might see people actually be honest about that too. So yeah, I think it's the end of LGBT.